Yeah, Alex, we'll get to that in just a second, but we wanted to show you a slightly different perspective tonight. We are at the corner of 4th and Commerce, only about a block up from where this explosion happened. You can see Metro Police still blocking off the scene. They've also installed this temporary fence here across 4th Avenue, across Commerce Street, so that people in downtown can't just walk down and see the explosion site. Metro Police also announced earlier today they were extending the curfew through this area of downtown until noon tomorrow. That's when they'll start to open up some of these side streets and some of the businesses that have not been totally affected by the bombing. So as you mentioned, we've been following updates about Mr. Warner today. Here's what we've learned from neighbors.
I don't know who lived there. We never talked to those neighbors.
I only saw him about once or twice maybe, and I never even saw his face.
Neighbors on Bakertown Road say they hardly knew Anthony Warner. He mostly stayed to himself.
No, I never even saw him much, just like maybe once or twice when he was power washing. He would always be power washing for some reason.
Law enforcement hasn't released many details either about the 63-year-old man they say is responsible for imploding part of downtown Nashville on Christmas morning, including why he would do this.
Motive for why he wanted to set off this bomb.
That's still all early in the investigation right now.
Multiple unnamed law enforcement sources tell ABC News that investigators are looking seriously at whether Warner may have been motivated by paranoia over 5G cell phone technology and if the AT&T building was his intended target. We also know Warner deeded his longtime Antioch home to a Los Angeles woman last month. Property records show the transfer was mysteriously made for $0. Investigators have not publicly discussed who this woman is or if she's involved in the investigation.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining me tonight. We will be taking a closer look at the Nashville explosion. I've got some very short videos we will look at and some information to present. If the official narrative makes no sense to you, then you're in the right place. It makes no sense to me either. Very similar to the Las Vegas shootings. And I'm going to pull a picture up for you real quick before I continue. Just give me one moment. And very similar to the Las Vegas shootings, the official narrative makes no sense and is not backed by evidence, but rather the official narrative contradicts some of the evidence. But when you compare Vegas to Nashville, there's no motive in either case, and both suspects are white males with absolutely no criminal background. Both patsies are in their 60s. Both are accused of committing suicide. And country music and conservatives were the target of each deep state attack. I have investigated over 100 homicide cases, both solved and unsolved, so I know what I'm talking about. Ask any honest law enforcement officer how many times they have seen someone go their entire life without getting arrested. Then suddenly in their 60s, they decide to commit a major crime like Vegas or Nashville, and they'll tell you it just doesn't happen. So this is so far beyond normal reality that there has to be a degree of mind control in place for people to believe these narratives. I'm also going to mention a couple of conspiracy theories that are out there, and I'll present a couple of possibilities I have come up with based on the little we do know from videos and witnesses. Let me just pull this down real quick here. Anthony Warner could have been hired to drive to the location and play the recording, unknowing an airstrike was imminent. With this theory, there would be no need for explosive material in the RV. The problem is there is no evidence Warner drove that RV to the crime scene. Not one person saw Warner in that vehicle at the site of the explosion. Not one video shows Warner in the vehicle when it was at the crime scene. Not one video shows Warner near the crime scene. Not one video shows Warner driving to the crime scene, and not one witness saw Warner driving to the crime scene. The one and only thing they claim they have is Warner's DNA, but I haven't seen evidence that his DNA was found there and wasn't placed at the scene. And there's nothing else to support the DNA, so they have yet to prove Warner drove there. It's possible the RV was driven remotely or was modified into a self-driving vehicle like the new Cadillac Super Cruise, for example. We just don't know. What we do know is there's no evidence Warner drove that RV to the crime scene. Coming up next, we will take a closer look at the crime scene. We will listen to a witness who believes the gunshots were a recording meant to wake everyone up, which is interesting because some people said the same thing happened in Vegas, that some of the shooting was recorded sound playing through speakers. And I also have some video footage to share as well as stuff about Warner. But I want to warn you to take any information about Warner with a grain of salt, because even his neighbors said they don't know him, or they didn't really know him. And this entire thing is in cover-up mode. For example, when authorities claim they have information from someone who knew Warner, like his alleged girlfriend, they redact the name. And there's really no one that verifies that that's even his girlfriend. The whole thing is very mysterious. And in the video I opened with you guys, we watched it together during the opening. You could see the authorities were keeping people far away from the scene. In my opinion, Warner might have owned the RV, but he didn't drive it there, and they lied about his DNA. This explosion has all of the ingredients of a Hollywood-like staged event, using the same effects they use in movies. Excuse me. After all, not a single death unless you believe Warner died there, which they have not proven. So wouldn't that be more like a Hollywood stage set? I've got something else to share with you. So as we move along here, I'm going to be sharing different things with you guys. And let me pull something else up here real quick before I continue. Okay. To begin, this guy, Errol Southers, who is supposedly an expert in security and counterterrorism, claims that Warner's computer and internet background gave him the skills and ability to pull this off. Warner was a computer guy, not a bomb expert. Southers talks about Warner having an explosives permit 30 years ago in the 90s. The permit was only good for a few years, then it expired and was never renewed. Southers argues this meant Warner had the skills, knowledge, background, and resources. But there's no evidence Warner ever had an authentic explosives permit that I have seen. And even if he did have one 30 years ago, Southers is really reaching and really stretching to try to support his narrative. Why would an authority lie about or cover up something like this unless they were involved and are trying to protect themselves? It just makes no sense for them to risk their careers and their integrity and everything to lie to the public. Makes absolutely no sense unless they're involved somehow, in my mind. And if it's a criminal matter, it makes them accessories, or in one way, shape or form, if they're lying about it or covering it up, or at least some sort of obstruction of justice. At least one video sounds like more than one explosion. So let's watch that that now real quick. Hold on a second. I mean, I don't know what to make of that, to be honest with you. It didn't sound like just one explosion, though, or even an explosion and things breaking apart. It just sounded kind of odd. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you real quick. It's possible that there were a bunch of small explosions and pyrotechnics that were all on the same timer or detonator. So I'm just trying to present different ideas and possibilities to you guys. This would explain how the officer and the man walking his dog survived without a scratch, even though they didn't make it to safety in time. And we will be watching a video showing this miracle on Christmas morning. It would also explain why some areas looked nuked, while just a few feet away, cars and people didn't even get a scratch. And I want to be clear, not everyone made it to safety before the explosion. That is another lie exposed by the footage. They're pretending every last person was evacuated to divert attention from what would be considered miracle survivors. Coming up next, we will watch 2 people and 1 dog survive the blast. Let's watch that now together.
I don't know if you can understand what was being said between 2 parties, the police officer and the walking dog. Anyone upstairs? You guys have better audio up there. Are you hearing what exactly is being said? Because that would be of interest to me. Okay, and there's the officer right there moving back toward.
Now let's listen to this man who was walking his dog near the explosion when it occurred. He thought the recording was coming from a police car. This is the guy that we just watched there on screen near the explosion a moment ago.
The recording that I was hearing, I just assumed it was coming from the police car, which, I was thinking, wow, I didn't know they could do that with the police car.
Next, a witness thinks that the gunshots were just a recorded sound.
Gunshots, which really right now we can't really explain what those were all about, and then the warning from the vehicle.
Exactly. Yeah, the gunshots, and I mentioned this before, and I'm not sure of this, but the gunshots were so loud, there is a possibility, we've wondered now if they weren't a recording that came from the vehicle as well.
Interesting.
We don't know that, but as we've reflected back on it, because we heard it 3 times, it was exactly the same. We wonder now if we weren't listening to a recording, but we don't know. But the gunshots definitely is what woke us up. And then, because the recording I don't think would have been loud enough to wake us up if we hadn't heard the gunshots.
Of course. By the way, do you have any inkling, and not something you would have necessarily noticed, but how long had the RV been there? Was it there earlier in the day? Do you think it just showed up overnight? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was not. I went out yesterday morning. I went to do a little last-minute shopping, and I don't remember seeing it then. I feel like I might have noticed because the street was pretty dead. There were a few workman-type cars there, but I didn't notice it, no.
All right, and I've got something else here for you guys. I've got 2 videos that show orbs. In this first one, you will see it rising slow. So it's going up, and it's not going at the speed of something that would be like blast material. I don't know what it is. Another one looks more like a UFO. We'll look at it in a moment. But let's look at this first one. Let me just get rid of this real quick. And And then here's another one. This one looks more like a UFO. I don't know what these are, guys. I'm just sharing the footage with you. So, this one here. The next video is more interesting as the orb or UFO descends and then it hovers. It just sits there. And so it's not debris falling back down. It could, because it comes in and then it just sits there. But you guys can see for yourself and form your own opinion. I'll remove this. And I'll play it for you guys. Now on this one, I'm going to play it in full time right now. And it's going to occur after the explosion. I had it circled for you a moment ago so you could see where to look. You'll see it come in from the top of the screen and towards the center and then hover. And then once we look at it for a moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow the speed down after. It's still in real time. Here, it just came in. And it's just sitting there now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow the speed down, and we'll watch it again in slow motion. We're only going to do this for another 30 seconds or so, folks, and then we'll move on to something else. I just want to show you in slow motion real quick, and then we'll move on to something else. Okay. The next video, take the next video with a grain of salt because it's uncorroborated. At least to me, I haven't seen anything else that really supports it. It's fuzzy. It's in black and white. It seems to show a vapor trail ascending. That means it going up. And I want you guys to bear this particular video in mind. Now I have it circled there so you can see what what to look for when I play the video in a moment. And bear this in mind later on in the discussion, because we're going to go over some comments and some conspiracy theories that people are kicking around about a Hellfire missile strike. And just bear in mind that this looks like it's going up, not down. So the Hellfire missile strike may not have any evidence at all to support it, but we'll let you guys form your own opinion. And it's going to be, let me just play the video for you.
I watched by the third light post. Something streams up in the air.
Did you see it shoot up?
And then this. Now the perspective is off a little bit because obviously you're shooting over the top of the AT&T tower.
Okay, and this is kind of interesting. We'll look at it, and I'm getting ready to end this because it's Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. It's New Year's Eve, so I've got I want to get this uploaded to you. So these are a couple of comments. Brad Johnson, I invited him on the show. Big shout out to Brad Johnson, by the way, folks. I'll leave a link in the description for his channel. He did agree to come on. I might have another follow-up show if he's been a little busy, but I wanted to get this out there. But I might do a follow-up show if he still wants to come on. But it says here there are two videos that seem to show a vapor trail heading to or away from a site just across the street from the RV. Missile or detonation device? Question mark. Some sources say this facility was tied to the cooling control system for a data analysis supercomputer used in the fraud investigation designed to shut it down. Okay, so the first part of the inquiry about the vapor trail. Well, we just saw the video a moment ago. The vapor trail seems to be going up, ascending, not descending. So, me personally, I don't think that it's evidence of a Hellfire missile. And then on top of that, that video that we watched was far away, and that looked like, in my opinion at least, that it was more of a vapor trail than a Hellfire missile would even leave. I'll admit that a Hellfire missile would probably leave a hell of a lot of damage, but I think that the explosion and stuff might be different. But anyway, we'll continue on. And I have heard people talking about that AT&T had a contract to audit the election fraud or something like that, or some of the machines. There just hasn't been really any evidence or too much information that's come forward to support that. So to me right now, that's just a conspiracy theory, but I wanted to let you guys know some of the things that people are talking about. We'll continue here. Someone says there was no bomb at ground level. And, well, I can agree that we don't necessarily know that there was a bomb at ground level. So far I kind of agree with that. You know, we don't know. It could have been many different little bombs that went off with pyrotechnics. There's a lot we don't know. But we don't necessarily know that what exploded was even in the RV. A lot of question marks here. He says the aerial photo of the aftermath shows the ground under the RV after it was removed is clean. So he's saying, kind of strange the way he's wording it, but it sounds like he's saying after the RV was removed from the site, the ground looked clean. I am going to have to disagree. I saw pictures and photos where it looked like the ground itself was just blown up, and that there was something under the ground, underground structure, basements, or even utility, whether it be for water or electrics, some sort of underground stuff was exposed from the blast, it looked like to me. It was crazy looking. It looked like it blew up all kinds of underground utilities and everything. And then they continue, no blast marks. I have to strongly disagree. Next we have the photo from about 2 to 3 miles away, clearly showing the incoming straight and vertical plume of rocket exhaust. And I have to agree. And he says it's in a narrow V shape. I have to disagree. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a little bit tired right now. I have to disagree. It doesn't show the exhaust coming in, or it doesn't suggest that something's coming in. It looks like it's lifting off. But I will agree that it does appear to be in a V shape when you compare it to nearby structures. And then he says, according to several service members who have seen these videos, he says it looks like a Hellfire missile. Next, there is the damage done to the building, and he says it's signature Hellfire missile. And I disagree. I don't think, because it was so far away, that was a really big in the video it looked like a really big smoke trail or whatever. So I have to disagree. Anyway, and then he says he doesn't agree with Brad Johnson's theory that it could have been Antifa or deep state hit. You know, me and Brad Johnson are very closely on the same page when I say deep state hit. Well, who would the deep state hire? Well, they might hire Antifa. Antifa's being one of the tools being used by the deep state. And then this guy continues, most intelligent people. I think I meant to block that part out, folks, because he starts to get a little bit insulting. But anyway, let me remove that. So I've got one last thing for you, and I wish everyone Happy New Year's Eve. and a great new year. And I've got some new content you guys can look forward to coming up soon.
Records uncovered by News Channel 5 Investigates show Anthony Warner's girlfriend told police he was making bombs in his RV more than a year ago.
But Metro Police closed the case without ever speaking with Warner. Investigative reporter Ben Hall has the story.
This police report from August of last year shows police responded to the home of a woman who had threatened to kill herself. She told officers that her boyfriend, Anthony Warner, was building bombs in the RV trailer at his residence. The police report says an attorney who was also there and represented both the woman and Warner told police that Warner frequently talks about the military and bomb making. He told them Warner knows what he is doing and is capable of making a bomb.
I made a report on the spot for him to get checked out. I did all I knew that I could do.
Attorney Ray Throckmorton said he urged police to check out Warner's home. He'd represented Warner in the past in various real estate deals, but believed what Warner's girlfriend was saying.
And she was so convincing that morning and so distraught that I decided in her front yard in the middle of all those police officers on the spot that even though it was a former client of mine, that somebody needed to go check him out right then.
The police report reveals officers went to Warner's home on Bakertown Road. Police observed that there was an RV trailer in the backyard, but the yard was fenced off and police could not see inside the RV. Police noted there were several security cameras there wired to an alarm at the door. They were never able to make contact with Warner, and the report was later deemed unfounded.
I am floored that report says that and to find that out now.
Metro Police spokesman Don Aaron told News Channel 5 Investigates that officers saw no evidence of a crime and had no authority to enter his home or fenced property. Police also forwarded the report and Warner's information to the FBI, but a check of their records revealed no new information on Warner.
But it's pretty obvious to me that somebody didn't do something they were supposed to do.
Police say they called Throckmorton days after the report and asked permission to search Warner's RV because they believed Throckmorton still represented Warner. Police claim Throckmorton would not allow his client to consent to a search.
He was not a current client of mine at that point in time.
Throckmorton strongly denies he would not give consent for officers to search Warner's RV.
I certainly would have never have told him not to check it out when I'm the one who said, go the hell over there, find out what's going on.
Police notified supervisors and detectives about the tip on Warner, but it's unclear if detectives ever followed up with Warner's girlfriend or asked for a search warrant.
If somebody had checked Tony out and gotten him the help that he needed, then this would have never have happened.
Throckmorton says FBI agents showed up at his home the morning after the blast. They asked about the report that the girlfriend and he filed, and that was the first time he realized Warner may